All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is March 30th, 2022. If you haven't done so already, give the video a like, comment, subscribe. Find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and content. Markets have just closed here. SPY with a quiet pullback day, a little bit of a fade here into the afternoon. Ended up kind of being a little bit, the bears tried to push it down with some puts. There was a lot of put buying and sweeping going on here. And if you take a look here on the intraday, you can see this gap here right at 456. Looked like that wanted to fill, and I think it probably didn't fill for a reason. That reason being that everybody was waiting for it to fill, essentially. I think it will get filled probably tomorrow, but those puts that were not able to push the market down had to cover into the close, and that's why you got that little run up there in the final, 20 or 30 minutes or so. Overall, though, a quiet pullback day. Markets are extended, as we are all aware of, and possibly taking a bit of a breather here. We had an uptick in volume yesterday, not a huge one. Take a look at the spiders there. That candle yesterday, you see the uptick in volume yesterday on the Russell. Quite a little bit better, actually. A little bit on the triple Qs and on the diamond as well. That little uptick in volume, after a big move like that, that can sometimes signal exhaustion. So you see that, the market's just rallying up like that, and then a little uptick in volume. Usually, there's some distribution and just kind of the market getting tired. And so that's why we're seeing a pullback here today. We did finish off the lows, though, so, that is a positive here. Again, we do have to fill this gap. And, I talked about these levels here on the spiders for, probably the last week or so. And they should, we were talking about them as being major resistance. The thing is, we gapped above them yesterday. Oftentimes when you gap above a major level like that, especially the 100, you got the 100 moving average there as well. You gap above a major level, oftentimes they'll turn it into support immediately. So that is something to be careful of. Again, doesn't mean we can't go fill this gap here, but again, I know everyone wants to short right now, but you got to be careful with this market. Conditions are just not really favorable right now. Look at, the volume. Yeah, we had a tiny little uptick in volume yesterday, but we don't have a huge uptick in volume here, relatively speaking. Sellers need liquidity for there to be a massive sell-off or at least a significant sell-off. And if you take a look here at, a lot of people were kind of likening this sell-off to, this is the reversal here. But look at the volume here. Look at the uptick there. That's significant volume. That's 150 million shares there, 140 million shares there. We had 70 million shares traded today, including after hours so far. So not enough volume really for a major move down. Doesn't mean the market can't have a pullback. It is extended, but we could very easily chop sideways here. So, and again, the more people that try to short up here, the more fuel there is for a squeeze. So just keep that in mind. We also have end of quarter tomorrow. Take a look at let's see, Apple here. So it is very close to an all-time high, and I floated the idea of them pushing it up to all-time highs. It would not, I know it's extended, I know it's overbought, I know it needs to pull back, stretch, whatever you want to call it. It would not surprise me for them to pump this thing tomorrow and get it to close at an all-time high by the end of quarter. I know it's a lot. It would be asking for basically a 2% move, but there's nothing to say it can't happen. There's nothing to say it can't happen. We will get a volume uptick tomorrow because it is end of quarter. So we could get the volume to push it up there. Tesla, same thing. Maybe they push this up to 1050. There's going to be window dressing. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans going on tomorrow. So just be aware of that. Again, it'll be interesting to see where they close out the quarter. We're watching a lot of things here moving forward. Anyway, let's go through our rotation here. So SMH here, pulling back off the highs. Again, it looks like a sharp reversal, and and it's, to give it credit, it is. But again, volume light. Volume's much lighter than it was back here when you had that sharp reversal. And again, semis were overbought. So, and I said yesterday, there's nothing to say we can't have a 2% down day in this market and still be sort of in the safe zones, specifically speaking, right? So we had a 3% down day on the semis today, but given the move, that's not a big move, right? And he did manage to bounce off that 200 moving average. So we'll see what we get out here tomorrow. But again, when you have a move like that, it's not uncommon to see a sharp move down either. But that doesn't mean we're going to go crash down and go back down to the lows immediately. So just bear that in mind. Anyways, IGV, Also kind of gapping down here, finishing off the lows just like everything else. This still could get up to that 360 handle, but it probably got a little ahead of itself in the short term. Same thing with the transports here, a little reversal candle today. Again, finished off the lows a little bit, but maybe you has to go down here and fill this gap, but it's trending up. I don't see anything wrong with this pattern. I think it just got a little ahead of itself here in the short term. I still think this gets up to 17,000 though at some point. All right, so let's take a look at yields. Yields pulling back. Looks like it just got below this green bar low here, and they saved it last minute here. Nothing too new to report. Yields are overbought. Same thing with the 30-year. They're starting to work off that overbought condition. I'm not convinced they've necessarily topped out quite yet, but they are into some resistance, or were into some resistance, and now they're pulling back. So HYG here. This was, again, so we talked about this being a bullish thing for the market short term. And today, gapping down, just like everything else did, but a nice inside day. Not anywhere near the lows, it's holding up. So if high yield can hold up here, and I mean, God forbid it starts to flag, this can make a move back up to that 83.50, 84 area. So again, that's a huge positive for the market in the near term. It's a little early. We'll see what we get out here tomorrow. We'll see what we get into the end of quarter. But for right now, it looks to be at least safe at the moment. Home builders, again, weak industry group. This one taking a big hit, filling the gap and coming down to the lows. I still think this has a little bit more backing and filling. Then I think you could possibly be a short candidate. VNQ actually having an inside day. So this one is still holding up much better. XLF here, continuing to flag. I don't see anything wrong with that. JPM, again, I actually kind of like this pattern. We talked about that yesterday. It's below the moving averages here, but it's consolidating to potentially make a run through that. So nothing terrible there on JPM. Broker dealers had kind of an ugly reversal, but this is kind of this is an index that opens flat every day. So it looks like it was an engulfing reversal, but really it probably would have gapped down with everything else. So not as it looks worse than it is. But again, XPD kind of just defending this trend line here at about 490. Wouldn't make too much out of it. Morgan Stanley did pull back a little bit, made a lower low, but I actually don't hate this pattern. This is not a bad pullback pattern there on Morgan Stanley. So we'll see what we get tomorrow there. Energy, really nothing new. I feel like I say this every day. It's just kind of been stuck in a range, came down, bounced around. XOP did make a new high, so XOP holding up here. We'll see what we get into end of month tomorrow. I showed you that monthly pattern here. There on the XOP the last couple of days here. We'll just look at it again. So pulling off the highs here. We'll see what they close this for the end of month. Right into that 100 moving average, though, on the monthly. So interesting level there on XOP. And crude, getting a bounce here, but let's watch here. So we could potentially have an inside bar setting up. So if this starts to go sideways, it could be building a bit of a bear base in the near term. So we'll watch that going into tomorrow and end of quarter. And again, if this breaks this 50 moving average, you're going right down to 90 or 95. So just be aware of that on crude. But as for the moment, nothing terrible with it. Nat gas getting a bid here again. Again, I think this needs to do some more chopping, and then it can possibly make a run at $6. But nice move there on nat gas. Love that little wedge breakout. Symmetrical kind of triangular pattern. Classic move there. Dollar index finally pulling back. I've been saying this needs to do more backing and filling. It's finally coming back in a little bit today. First stop here, if it continues to push lower, would be this area, 97.25. You got the 50 moving average down there. You got these pivots right in this area, and then just below that, you've got the 97 handle. So it would be into support in this range. Nothing, it's not like it would really crash down or by any means, but it is into a lot of weekly resistance. All right, so gold. I almost don't even care what it did today. All I care about is tomorrow's close. If we can get above this area, that's a negation of this wrong on there. There we go. Negation of this monthly inside bar, and then obviously the quarterly is right here on the top. So we got the yellow line and the gold line. We get above either of those, that's super bullish for gold. My guess is we have either a split. So maybe we'll close above one of them, which would be this one and not the quarterly. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe they smash it down. They could very well smash it down. And by the way, they are watching this. Don't make no mistake about that. These guys, they know what they're doing, and they're definitely watching that going into end of quarter. GDX, again, all we can do is look at this for a leading indicator. It's holding up. So GDX holding up nicely, and that is giving us a slight upside bias right now. Silver had that big flash crash yesterday. Had a flat day today. SILJ, still like this pattern overall. It's still holding up here. If you look on the weekly, This is actually not bad. You got two test candles there, move up and upright sort of consolidation. If this can do a little bit more of that, this can push through and make a run. But for right now, nothing really terrible. I like this SILJ here. It just needs to do more backing and filling. Platinum coming off the lows. Remember, had that flash crash yesterday as well. So coming off the lows a little bit. Palladium, same thing, was oversold, getting a bounce here. Won't make too much more out of it than that. And copper trying to make a run of that 4.8 area and then getting rejected again. So again, some of these things trying to run a little prematurely. We talked about the transports. There was one other thing we talked about, not maybe the semis or one of those other ones, trying to run a little prematurely here, but probably needs to do a little bit more backing and filling if it's going to break through that 480 area overall. Anyways, let's flip over to Bitcoin and Ether. So pausing here, wouldn't make too much out of it. Again, with this trend line's major resistance, I've been talking about that for a while. Don't really need to go over that too much more here. I wouldn't say anything, it's just a pause day. It's not necessarily crashing down. It's not a major reaction off this area, but you are into resistance. Take a look at Ether here, down fractionally as well. We'll see what we get out here tomorrow. If it starts to flag, that could be bullish. But, in the near term, and it's into a lot of resistance, and we'll just kind of respect that at the moment. But, I don't really see any problems here in the crypto market right now. Solana having a nice day, though, up 7.5% there. So nice move there. That is into a little bit of resistance as well. Around 130, you got this pivot low here, coinciding with that pivot high in these red bars. So right in that 135, 136 range there on Solana. But nice move there. For that, and everything else I don't really see. Again, no real problems, just kind of a bit of a pause day here, which again, going back to the spiders, that's kind of what I'm seeing in the spiders as well, right? I mean, a nice red day here, but we didn't break trend. Nothing serious happened. We didn't have a major sell-off on high volume. We didn't take out the lows. We didn't even fill this gap. So again, we'll probably do that tomorrow. Maybe I don't know, maybe we gap down a little bit. There's a lot of things gapping. Either way, market's going into end of quarter. We'll see what we get out here. I'll take time to get out of here, get out of your hair here, as I'm starting to forget what I'm saying here anyway. All right. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.